Um, so there are many benefits of cassava farming, especially here in Nigeria, which produce or brings about more yield and more profit, generates a lot of profit for farmers. So the more you produce or the more you cultivate your cassava, the higher the returns and the higher the yield of cassava farming in Nigeria. So and one of the lucrative business that one can actually do currently in Nigeria, cassava farming is one of them. Why? Because of the high demand and the increase in the price of cassava is now there is a lot of increase in price in cassava farming currently, so which directly increase the revenue of farmers. So that's why cassava farming is very lucrative at in Nigeria currently. So what are the steps or what are the techniques that one can just take note while cultivating cassava? First thing is that the soil to be used must be moderately fertile and must not be too much fertilized. You grab, because the nutrient uptake is the amount of nutrient the uptake is not that high like vegetable farm and vegetable crops. So another thing that have to make sure one is very considerate with, or one is very careful with, is weed management. So weed management is one of, because when weed interfere with your crop, is going to reduce your yield by around 40 or 50, or around 40 to 45 percentage. So when yields reduce yield to 40 to 45 percentage, so what's the profit that one wants to gain in it? So weed management is very crucial. But when your cassava is at this stage where it's already forms canopy on the land, on this here on the land, so the weed that comes after, then they won't have enough competition against the cassava, because the cassava has already formed a canopy whereby it's shield them from gaining sunlight, from gaining energy from sunlight, which they can use to interfere the growth of the cassava. So but before they reach this stage, your weed management must be very intensive. And the first thing you have to make sure you do is the weed management, your land clearing. And then another thing is that the type of cassava, the cassava variety you have to plant. So your cassava variety really matters. So there are a lot of improved varieties apart from this local breed cassava stem. So there are a lot of improved varieties in Nigeria now. We have the TMS 419, we have the TME 30597. We have a lot of varieties like that or varieties of cassava like that. So it's very lucrative. So cassava farming is very lucrative, because like the yield of cassava on an acre of land, the yield of cassava on an acre of land will yield something like 2.5 tons of cassava on an acre of land. And that 2.5 tons currently in Nigeria is around, a ton of cassava is around 400,000 naira. Now do the calculation. 400, that will be 400 times 2.5 tons, which is around 1 million naira. So but if you should calculate the amount, the total cost of production, it might not be even up to, for an acre of land, it might not be even up to 50,000 naira, or let's just say 50,000 naira, and not more than 100,000 naira. See the ROI, the returns on investment that cassava is bringing for us. So one has to know that cassava is one of the most profitable business now in Nigeria. So and one must take it as a business. So but before you venture into it, you have to be very careful, and you have to know what are the techniques, what are the things I have to make sure is right. For example, the good agricultural practices that has to be done for you to be able to generate the estimate revenue you have calculated that you want to generate from cassava. So first thing that I was saying is that your land clearing must be there. Then after then, um, your fertilizer application, before you even apply fertilizer, because some people really do that mistakes. A lot of mistakes farmers are doing about fertilizer application is that they don't check the amount of nutrients in the soil before they start applying that fertilizer. Some soil might be highly acidic due to the fact that they have much nitrogen content in the soil, which might displace, the hydrogen ion in the soil. So while some soil might be highly alkaline, you check the type of crop you want to plant. Is it tolerant to high acidity? Is it tolerant to high alkalinity? So all these things has to be done, has to be evaluated before you start. So your soil testing is very, very important. In as much we local farmers in Nigeria, we don't really care about soil testing, but it's a very vital thing, because that soil testing will determine how profitable you will be in that business, or how the amount of loss you will face in the business. So soil testing is very, very important. So when you check your soil, you do your testing, you know the amount of nitrogen, amount of phosphorus, amount of potassium, all these major elements and the trace elements. You know the amount in the soil before you start applying your fertilizer, and you know the level of your pH. When your pH is very low, for example now cassava do well on a pH level of around 5.5 to 7.5 to around 7.0. That is something slightly acidic to neutral. So when you check your pH of the soil and you see that your pH of your soil is lower than 5, maybe it's around 3, around 2, you know that your cassava will not do well. And your pH is around, maybe let me just say 10, 11, 12, know that your cassava won't do well. So but when your pH is within the range of 5.5 to maybe 7.5, then you are good to go. Then you check for the other nitrogen, the nitrogen content, or the major elements in the soil, or the major elements in the soil. You check for it. So when you see that they are all in the appropriate portion for the cassava to yield, you don't need to apply fertilizer again. But when you see that the amount of this nutrients is very low compared to the proportion the cassava needs, then you have to apply your fertilizer. So at the beginning of the vegetation, you apply your nitrogen, your urea. So if you don't want to apply urea, you can actually apply NPK 20-10-10. So that NPK 20-10-10 means it contains the amount of nitrogen that it contains. Half of that proportion is for phosphorus and potassium. So which means nitrogen still have high content, but it still contains the other major elements that is needed for the growth of cassava. So but you apply them at the regular proportion. For an acre of land, the amount of NPK you need is around 100 kg. So 100 kg is enough for an acre of land for the amount of NPK 20-10-10 you'll be using for cassava. After your fertilizer application, then during the early stage of cassava, you have to check out for insect damage. So insect pests. So there are a lot of insect pests that damage cassava. You have the Zoneros, variegators, you have the Bisolia fusca, and other aphids and other pests like that that affect cassava. So all these, you make sure you eradicate them. You can do any kind of method. You can do cultural method, maybe by killing them yourself anytime you see them in the farm, or maybe biological method, introducing some predators, maybe some lizards that do eat insects, or maybe birds, or any other natural predators. Or you can actually do chemical controls also, maybe like buying some chemicals. Like we have some that are contact, and we have some that are systemic, and you can get something like imidacloprid. You can get the DDVP, and also cypermethrin. So all these chemicals are chemicals that actually damage insect pests on the farm. So after doing this, then your next stage is to check their moisture content, because at their early stage they actually need a moderate level of moisture content in the soil, so that all these nutrients they need will be what will be will dissolve, won't be in unavailable form. You get, so they won't be in an unavailable form, so it won't be as if they are not being dissolved in the soil. So your moisture content must be high, so that all the nutrients will be able to be displaced, and the plants will be able to uptake the nutrients. So furthermore, um after then, when you see that your plant, your cassava is already growing up, then you have to check out for the weeds also. Though this weeds just started growing again, weeds can never be absolutely eradicated from farm. So that's why they are called weed. Anytime you eradicate them, anytime you weed them, you clear them, they'll keep growing, they'll keep growing. But at this stage now that this cassava has already grown to this epic stage, so the weeds, you can see the height, you can see the weeds are down here. Meanwhile, the cassava itself that they want to compete with, see how tall they are. So the cassava are very very tall, very very tall. So before they can even tap the energy coming from the sun, the cassava has already tapped its sun and use it to photosynthesize its food or its nutrients it has already trapped from the soil. Meanwhile, why the weeds stay there and you know being hopeless. So at this stage, the cassava are already safe, but one can see clear, so that the farm will look neat and look moderate. So maybe any visitors that come, maybe they say, "Ah, wow, this farm is neat," and all those things like that. And it will be easy during harvesting for you to harvest well, so you won't be interfered, or any weeds won't be disturbing you during your harvest. So that is it. So cassava is a very lucrative business, and when you do it well, you definitely see your profit. So but meanwhile, there are some varieties of cassava that actually use 7 months, 8 months. It's not necessary you get the cassava that uses 1 year, because most of these local varieties actually use 1 year, 1.5 years. But now we have some improved varieties that I've mentioned earlier. They don't use more than the highest months they use is like around 8 to 9 months. So after then they are already ready for harvesting. So that's that about cassava farming. So I think we've learned a little thing about cassava now. So anyone that wishes to like just venture into farming and doesn't know what to do or doesn't know where to start from, so as a beginner, is actually not an intensive farming for beginner. So it's not too complex even for a beginner. So it's just a thing that you just have to know much of it and able to do it well. So I wish all of us best of luck. Bye. Thank you.